Every great filmmaker starts somewhere. This doesn't feel like a stunt designed for a superhero movie. So what the heck kind of film was Christopher Nolan attempting to make here?
A truck flips through downtown Gotham. A bank vault empties out while the men robbing it kill each other off, one by one, until only a clown mask is left standing.
If we put in a little beat where the first set of explosions stops as if something's gone wrong and the Joker just takes a second to look around, surprised like the audience is surprised, then the major demolition comes in and he jumps straight into the school bus.
10 minutes in, and the film has already told you everything it's going to spend the next 2 hours proving. Order isn't a wall, it's an agreement, and agreements can be broken by anyone willing to pay the price of breaking them. Christopher Nolan spends the rest of The Dark Knight testing that idea against 3 different men, and none of them come out the same as they went in.
What we did on Batman Begins is we made the best film possible in the way that we thought best, and we trusted that the fans would feel the sincerity of the intention there to make a great film.
Batman is asked whether he can stay good without becoming what he fights. Harvey Dent is asked whether goodness even survives contact with real loss. And an entire city, split across 2 ferries, is asked the same question the Joker has been asking all along. Underneath the laws and the manners, what are people actually like? That last answer is the one that makes this more than a great thriller with a bat symbol on it. It's the one that makes it feel true. Every Joker before this one arrived with a reason.
Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me Joker.
A fall into a vat of chemicals that bleached his skin. A single unbearable night that broke something in him permanently. Nolan's Joker refuses that comfort. Ask him how he got the scars carved into his face, and he'll tell you a different story depending on his mood. Once, it's a drunk father who came at his mother with a knife.
You remind me of my father. I hated my father.
Another time, it's a wife he loved too much, who left him scarred and alone after her own tragedy.
So I had a wife, beautiful, like you, who tells me I worry too much, who tells me I ought to smile more, who gambles and gets in deep. The sharks, one day they carve her face.
The stories don't match, and they were never supposed to. A villain with a real wound can be understood, maybe even forgiven a little, because pain explains behavior. This Joker has erased the very idea that his behavior needs explaining. He isn't reacting to what happened to him. He's decided that nothing happened to him at all, and in doing that, he's made himself impossible to reach with sympathy or logic.
I just want her to know that I don't care about the scars. I stick a razor in my mouth and do this.
What's left, when you take away motive, is pure test. He doesn't rob banks because he needs money. He burns a mountain of it in front of the men who trusted him with it, just to watch their faces while it happens. He doesn't want to rule Gotham. He wants to prove that Gotham was never really civilized in the first place, that it was only ever waiting for someone to remind it how thin the rules actually are. Every scheme in the film, the hospitals, the hostages, the ferries, is really the same experiment run at a different scale, on a different set of people, to see if the results ever change. They don't. Not for a long time. And that's what makes him frightening in a way most movie villains never manage. He isn't trying to destroy Gotham. He's trying to be right about it. There's a version of this story where Bruce Wayne gets to have both things, the woman he loves and the mission he's built his life around. The film takes that hope away from him early and never gives it back, and it's worth sitting with how quietly it does that. Bruce isn't punished with a monologue or a dramatic confession. He's punished with a phone call, a wrong address, and a few seconds he can't get back no matter how fast he drives. What makes it land isn't just that Rachel dies. It's what her death forces Bruce to understand about the choice he's already made. He built Batman to protect Gotham, and Gotham took the one person who might have let him stop being Batman. There's no lesson in that, no silver lining waiting at the end of it. It's just loss, delivered by the same city he's bleeding himself dry to save, and the film lets that sting without rushing to comfort him or the audience. By the time the credits roll, Bruce has lost Rachel, lost his oldest friend's trust, and agreed to be hunted by the police for crimes he didn't commit. Alfred watches him disappear into that role and doesn't try to talk him out of it.
There's nothing out there for me.
And that's the problem. You hung up your cape and your cowl, but you didn't move on. You never went to find a life, to find someone.
Alfred, I did find someone.
I know that you lost them, but that's all part of living, sir. But you're not living, you're just waiting, hoping for things to go bad again.
Because there's nothing left to offer instead. This is a hero who wins by losing almost everything that made him recognizable as a person, and the quiet devastation of that choice is what gives the ending its weight instead of its triumph. If Batman is the character who survives being tested, Harvey Dent is the one who doesn't, and his fall is where the film's emotional core really lives.
Our scene together in the hospital bed, which was really my only scene with him, and I thought, well, I don't really have any lines. What am I gonna do? So I got in the bed and they were lighting and Chris was walking around and doing things, and then he came around and would walk around me like this. And I would watch him and I would watch him.
Dent is introduced as everything Bruce can't be in daylight. Elected, trusted, capable of convicting Gotham's criminals through the courts instead of through fear. Bruce even sees him as a way out, someone Gotham could believe in once Batman is no longer needed. There's real hope in that idea, the hope that goodness might not require a mask and a double life, that it could just be a man doing his job honestly. Nolan plants a small detail early that only breaks your heart in hindsight. Dent carries a coin he flips before hard decisions, and he admits it's rigged, heads on both sides, his father's old trick. He was never actually leaving anything to chance. The coin was a performance of fairness from a man who'd already decided the outcome, which makes it almost unbearable when, after the explosion that takes half his face and all of Rachel, the coin becomes the only thing he trusts.
So we tried to just write a great story first and foremost, but we also tried to be open to what are we really worried about? How does the world feel to us? What would you be most concerned about?
Anarchy.
He flips it for real now, because it's the only kind of justice that still feels honest to him. A man who once faked randomness to seem fair ends up worshipping randomness because fairness stopped existing the moment Rachel died. Watching Dent become Two-Face isn't satisfying the way watching a comic book villain rise usually is. It's closer to watching someone you were rooting for get ground down past the point of recognizing themselves. He doesn't become evil because he was always secretly capable of it. He becomes evil because grief left him with nothing else to hold on to. And that's a far sadder, far more human collapse than any origin story could manufacture. By the film's final act, the Joker has already proven his theory once, on the one man everybody believed was too good to break. He wants a bigger sample, so he wires two ferries to blow, one carrying ordinary citizens, one carrying convicted prisoners, hands each boat the detonator for the other.
Each of you has a remote. Blow up the other boat. At midnight, I blow you all up.
And gives them until midnight to decide who lives. It's the cleanest version of his argument the film ever stages, and it works because Nolan strips almost everything else away to let it play out. No last-second gadget, no clever escape. Just people, in the dark, deciding what kind of people they are when nobody's forcing them to be good. A businessman calls for a vote to kill the prisoners first and actually gets one. On the other boat, a convicted man reaches for the detonator, and for a long, terrible second, it looks like the film is about to confirm every cynical thing the Joker believes. Then he throws it out the window instead. Midnight comes. Nobody presses the button. It's the one place in the entire movie where the Joker's prediction fails completely. And it fails at the largest possible scale, on total strangers with every reason to save themselves first. After watching Harvey Dent break, after watching a city's most trusted man become its most dangerous, the ferries are the film quietly insisting that decency isn't gone. It's just harder to find than cruelty, and it took nearly losing everything for these particular strangers to prove it still existed in them. Two-Face's rampage ends with him dead on a construction site, and Batman standing over the body of a man Gotham still believes is its hero. What happens next is the choice that makes the ending genuinely painful instead of merely bittersweet. Batman doesn't correct the record. He takes the murders as his own, lets Gordon brand him a fugitive, and walks away so that Harvey Dent can be buried as the man Gotham needed him to be, rather than the man he actually became. It costs Batman everything a hero is usually allowed to keep: his name, his reputation, the gratitude of the city he nearly died protecting. He becomes the villain of his own story by choice, not because he's forced into it, but because he understands something the Joker never could, that Gotham doesn't run on truth alone. It runs on what people are able to believe in when the truth is too ugly to survive contact with daylight. Gordon's closing words call him a silent guardian, a watchful protector.
He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.
And it only lands because the film has spent 2 hours making sure you understand exactly what that sentence is costing him. There's real grief in that final image of Batman running from the police he was trying to save, not triumph. He doesn't get a parade. He gets exile, chosen freely, for the sake of a lie that will let a broken city keep believing in something worth rebuilding around. None of this works on instinct alone. Every choice Nolan makes behind the camera is in service of making that grief and that tension feel physically real, not staged. He refuses the genre's usual comfort of an origin story for the villain, and that refusal is a directorial decision as much as a writing one. It forces every scene with the Joker to live entirely in the present tense, with no flashback to soften him. He shoots as much of the film as he can on real Chicago streets instead of sound stages, so the chase sequences and the explosions carry actual weight instead of the weightlessness that comes from obvious effects work. When a truck flips in the film's opening minutes, that's a real 18-wheeler flipping, not a digital one, and audiences feel that difference even when they can't articulate why. Hans Zimmer's score for the Joker is built around a single note that never resolves.
I wasn't thinking about a bad guy. I was just completely intrigued by the character. And I kept thinking, oh, hang on a second, he's the only one who always tells the truth in this movie. You know, everybody else is sort of, you know, they're lying, or they're not being straightforward, or they're being secretive. You know, the Joker comes up to you and he tells you exactly what he thinks, and he tells you the truth.
A sound designed to feel like a nerve being tested rather than a melody being enjoyed. It's a small, almost invisible choice, and it's part of why the character unsettles people on a level below conscious thought. Nolan also refuses to let Batman win the way superhero films usually let their heroes win, through a final fight that settles everything. The Joker is captured, but he isn't defeated, because the real battle was never physical. It was over whether Gotham's decency would survive contact with him, and that battle gets settled on a ferry, in a hospital room, and in the quiet devastation of Harvey Dent's fall, not in a punch. What Nolan understands, more than most directors working in this genre, is that spectacle without emotional stakes is just noise. Every explosion in this film is attached to a person losing something. Every chase is attached to a question about who Bruce Wayne is willing to become. That discipline, refusing to let the action exist for its own sake, is what turns a very good crime thriller into something that still gets quoted and argued over more than 15 years later. People don't remember The Dark Knight for its action scenes, even though they're some of the best ever put on film. They remember the ferry sequence, and the coin, and the quiet devastation of Bruce Wayne's face when he realizes what Gotham has cost him. Nolan never treated the superhero movie as a genre that had to stay small, and that's the real reason it still holds up. He answers a genuinely human question about decency with a boat full of strangers who chose not to press a button, and a man who chose to be hated so a city could keep believing in something worth saving.
For any of us lucky enough to work with him, I think for any of us lucky enough to enjoy his performances, he will be eternally missed, but he will never be forgotten.